Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Wait till Lightheart in rainy Vancouver this evening, Monday night, Prosperity and Health Alliance. Ready for a rant. And I am excited. I'm pumped. I'm delighted. I just got back from sunny California and Arizona, where I was on a wonderful trip, got to connect with a lot of friends and people and places and the things I love to do. And it's fascinating because tonight's webinar is going to be something that I think that everybody in this industry face. I think it's every challenge, maybe one of the biggest psychological challenges or hurdles for people to get over, to get past, to get beyond, to go to the next level inside their world. And that is dealing with the negative stimuli or stigma around MLMs, around network marketing, around direct sales programs. But what I want to share with you is I'm going to share with you exactly to handle those objections, how to overcome any embarrassment or sense of insecurity or unsureness that we all face, especially early in the business, and why that stigma exists and why that's fallacious. And more importantly, we're going to share with you exactly how you can overcome that objection, first internally from an emotional side, and then externally as you're navigating the world. Because once you overcome this, once you transcend this, then you literally become an unstoppable force about going out there, telling people about your opportunity, sharing people about the components of the business, the benefits, as well as being able to stand up inside your family unit, inside your friend unit, inside your career unit, and to be proud and to know what you have. And I think this is what separates the people who have success in the industry and people who have mediocre success or who struggle. And basically, it's an inside game. So why is it that MLMs, network marketing, all this sort of stuff has negative stimuli? I'll tell you the first reason why that is. Recognize this. At some point in time, almost everybody gets involved in an MLM, in a network marketing business, in a direct response sales, something like that. Maybe in college, maybe in university, maybe they tried. And guess what? They got excited about the geometric progression. They got excited about training. Maybe they got excited about project or compensation program in some program. They got all wound up. They ran out to their family or ran out to their friends or their associates in business. Maybe they got a couple of people excited. Maybe they didn't, and it failed. And what happens is people don't like to fail. And oftentimes what I would say is that people who are attracted to the MLM world or to this type of business will find that, their early endeavors might be met with failure. It's no different for business entrepreneurs. The average successful business entrepreneur goes broke 3 times. I don't know how many times it is for MLM people or network marketing, but the bottom line is somehow when we went to school, before we went to the education system as a kid growing up and where a lot of our formative stuff, we get to school and we would try anything. We would try tying our shoes a million times. We would try riding our bike. We would try learning a new language. We would try all these different things, physical exercise or sports or reading. And we would stumble through this. And our parents or our guardians or our family members and stuff would support that growth and understood there was mistakes, understood there was challenges. But somehow when we get to school, we get to the formal education system. That education teaches you that everything is graded and you are graded and you are determined, whether you're an A student, a B student, a C student, a D student, an F student, whatever that is. You get rated, you get directed, and you are caught inside a group learning situation that may not cater to your strengths, your abilities, or even your interests. And that indoctrination system goes on 12, 16, or even 20 years. Most of your formative life, when your brain is actually being formed, you are given this pass or fail system that is connected to your sense of self-worth that is totally outrageous and crazy. It makes absolutely no sense. And that program gets them wired. So what happens is that person, you get into the program, you start working a job, you get your first job, you're excited, you get your first paycheck, you're shocked because so much goes out to taxes. Then you have to show up at a certain time of day, and you got to go home on a certain day, and you got to listen. And there's nothing wrong with all that stuff. But after a few years of that, after 5 years or 10 years, you start looking at your bank account. You start looking at the life that you want to live, and you recognize, hey, maybe this isn't actually delivering what I was hoping or wanting or planning on. And all of a sudden, maybe you got kids, maybe you got family, you got car payments, you got debt, student loans maybe you've got credit cards, or you've got a home mortgage if you're lucky. And the reality is now you're caught in the monthly payment system. You got your check system, and what happens is there's not enough money at the end of the month. Now, this is the system that we are trained to be in. And hopefully one day, if we scrimp and we save and put 10% away, we have a 401k program or an RSP program, or we've got some sort of investment program. We've read a couple of books, or Rich Dad or Susie Orman or something like that. We scrimp and save, and hopefully we get to a point at some point at 65, 70, 75 years old, we get to retire in safety. But the reality is that story is a lie. So when you get turned on to this industry, you've got to the point where you start to realize, hey, if I continue going down this road, this is where I'm going to end up. And I still believe that I want this vision for a better future. So you start looking for opportunities. Now, what's your options? Well, option one is to quit what you're doing and start a job or start a business. Here's the thing. 95% of those businesses are going to fail. They're going to fail because lack of knowledge, lack of capitalization, lack of systems. It could be environmental conditions. There's all these different reasons as to why those businesses fail. They're well documented. Entrepreneurs take risks. Entrepreneurs fail often. They fail frequently. They fail hard, but they fail forward. Almost every entrepreneur I know keeps trying different businesses until they get one that sticks and they learn things. Well, guess what? When you start in an MLM business or someone goes out in that venture, they've never experienced this. They're expecting to grade themselves. They go out a few times, they get a little bit of abuse. Some other people that got quote unquote burned in an MLM experience. I mean, they didn't get burned. Like no one took a flamethrower to them or no one burnt them physically. They had a experience, and what happens is they get started in a business. And here's the thing that they're not really taking accountable for. The reality is you get paid directly proportionate to the amount of skill that you have in a given area. So if you're a really good engineer, you can get really good engineering jobs. If you're a really good scientist or a PhD studied, you can be a good scientist. If you're a really good bartender, you can make a lot of money at the highest bartending stuff. If you are a really good anything, accountant, you work your way up in fields or start your own. Like every single profession has a competency scale, right? And the better you get at that, the better you become. Well, business is the ultimate competency test. And what happens is when people get started, they get excited. They've got a lot of emotion. They don't have a lot of skill. They don't have a lot of ability. They think that they can just do this easy. They have a perception that business is just something where you just make scads of money and drive around in fancy cars and eat big fancy dinners and live this ridiculous lifestyle, and you squeeze, people at the bottom out. And that's not the case. Most of the entrepreneurs I know are really conscientious. They're wonderful people. They have to make difficult decisions. They hire people. They spend the money they're making onto other people. And there's a lot of risk in it. And MLM is this really interesting thing, is that you get the benefits of entrepreneurship without the risk of traditional entrepreneurs, where you got to put a lot of time, effort, and money, that you have to go all in at first, and that you have no training from anybody else out there. You got to pay everything on your own time. With an MLM business, a network marketing business, direct sales business, what happens is you actually learn a system. That system already has a whole lot of systems: the established business structure, the production of a product, the production of a compensation program, the tax services, the website sales services, the customer support systems, the manufacturing and distribution of that product, a lot of advertising and information things, embedded training inside of those systems. These things you have to build on your own as an entrepreneur. And sometimes those will take a decade or more in order for you to get to that level. Every entrepreneur I know that's growing is continually upgrading your sales as the marketplace changes. And they spend a lot of time, effort, money, and resources doing this with no security of whether that's going to work or not. And so when people get started, they oftentimes fail, and they connect that failure to their self-esteem. They connect that failure with their sense of self-worth. And what they don't want to do is they call that painful experience. So the next time someone brings them an MLM opportunity, network marketing, direct selling, they go, oh, that stuff doesn't work. It's scammy. You talk to your friends and stuff like that. And what it is the lack of education and the lack of fully integrated extreme ownership as to why they failed in that particular business. And so what happens is they start to outsource the reasons because they don't want to take a hard look, because they're actually insecure that they're really not as good as they think they are, because they've got a negative association, whether that was past programming, what was that experience, or whatever. And so what happens is these models become associated with these negative emotional energies. And when you go out as a business, you got to overcome that person's negativity. So one of the things that you're going to have to do is you have to expect when you go out and get started that people are going to have natural objections that are based on emotionality, and that emotionality, they're going to tap rational associations with it that sounds good, but the reality is it's an emotional failure. And what you first need to do is you need to be able to expect that a lot of people are going to have these negative associations. The next thing is you've got to deflect their judgments that are going to come towards you around that. So expect that they're going to have some judgments or whatever. Expect they might have some things, and be prepared to deflect that. And here's how you do this. You start off with, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, that MLMs are this. I hear what you're saying. And I love, and one of the things that deflect and then how you come back to that is you need to be able to get the specific reason as to why that person has an emotional response. Get to the specifics. And so what that means is you've got to be able to prepare yourself to not get emotionally activated as to that person's emotional objection that has a rationalization around it. That's all you need to do. Once you understand that and prepare yourself going in and say, and I love what Eric Worre says, oh, so you don't like MLMs. It sounds like you got a story there. Do you have a past experience that might have been painful for you with this type of businesses? Or it sounds like you or someone you know might have had some challenges with that. Could you tell me about that? I'm curious. And all of a sudden you take control. So what you always have to do is recognize the person that asks the questions takes control of the situation. Okay? So if you look at Buddha or you look at Jesus in their parables, when they were asked the question, they counteract with the question. So someone says, oh, you're not getting started in one of those MLM businesses, are you? And you're like, oh, I'm curious. Do you have something against MLMs? Or do you have it sounds like you have a story or a negative experience around those things. You want to share that with me? And generally, when you go back there, they're all too welcome to land an experience. And you're like, oh, I hear what you're saying. Well, that sounds painful. Sorry to hear that. I guess you know, and then you transit into your story. Now you need to get your story down and say, yeah, I know there's a lot of challenges out there, but the reality is when you agree is like, you know, I was looking at my own business career, or my own career, and I realized that, hey, you know, I started looking at my financial future. I started looking at, you know, where my money was, where, you know, how much money I was making, how much my family was making, all the payments I have. And I realized if I looked at the next 20, 30, 40 years, I don't know how I'm going to get ahead. Do you know what I'm saying? And chances are that person's going to be in the same boat, because we know that 95% of people are going to die broke and dependent on the system. So we know there's a 95% chance that they kind of already know that and they don't want to experience it. Say, and I realized that if I kept doing the same thing for the rest of my life, I was going to end up with everybody else. And I was going to be broke. I was going to be dependent on others. And it was going to be a very uncomfortable life. And I decided that I was going to do something different. However, here's the thing. I was looking at entrepreneurship, and to get started in a Subway, or to get started in my own mom and pop business or an online business, whatever, it was going to take a tremendous amount of resources and time, effort, and energy, maybe 100, 200, 300, 400,000. And I just couldn't put my family, or couldn't put my life in that type of objective. So you know what I did is I went off and I started looking for opportunities that would allow me to put money, that would allow me to do a couple of things. Number one, that it had training so I could learn the skills that it would take to be successful. Number two, that it didn't require a massive cash outlay like traditional business. And number three, that I was able to start this on a part-time basis so that I could scale up without jeopardizing my current employment, my current work. And turns out I was able to suss through and find one of those opportunities. You see, now you've already languaged the objections. So you have to be able to practice this story. And I'm just using that example. You don't have to do it the way that I just said that. But what I'm saying is you've got to expect there might be some negativity there. You got to deflect that. And then you got to present a counter argument by not arguing, by sharing the pain train story that creates the association. You know what? I realized that, this is where my career was going. This is where my finances were going. I needed a better option. And I found something that I think is going to work with me. It's got training. It doesn't have a crazy cash outlay. It's got a proven system. It's got all these patterns that I wanted from entrepreneurship. And I'm putting together a team of people that wants to work with me. In fact, I happen to be with one of the top people in the industry that is giving me the step-by-step guidance in order to be successful. Would you know anybody that is interested in going down that road with me? Or, hey, let me ask you a question. Do you know somebody who's looking to make, an extra $100,000 a year in the next 2 to 3 years, working from home or working in an extra business? I know this isn't for you, but do you know somebody? And they're like, well, what do you mean it's not for me? Right. And he said, well, I understand that, when I brought up the technology about, an MLM and direct sales, I saw that there was some negativity and there was a story there for you. And I don't want to create any problems for you, but this is so darn exciting and looks so compelling. And I'm associated with such top people. I just got to find some people that want to do this with me, because you know what? I'm committed to changing my life. I'm committed to going in a new direction. And I'm looking for a few key people to work with me. And I really respect you and I really like you. And I think you kind of know me and I know you. And I'm looking to put together a team for this. Something along those lines. But the point of the matter is it's not about what you're saying. It's about the emotional certainty and confidence behind what you're saying, and sharing that in a communication that allows you not to make them bad, not to get you in an emotional defense mechanism, but allows you to be able to present the information in an unbiased way by telling stories and communicating things that they're going to go, that's right. They're just like me. And that's an important thing. Anytime you're presenting a case, the person needs to say, that's right, and they're just like me. Those are the two things that are going to happen to open them up to your opportunity and program. And say, let me ask you a question. Do you feel that you're getting paid what you're worth? Let me ask you another question. Do you think that your career is going to provide you the kind of security that you would like over the long term? Do you see it delivering for your family? Are you happy where you're at? And do you see that going to live for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years? And if they say yes or no, and let's say they say, well, no, I'm not so certain about my job. I'm not so certain about my career. I'm not so certain about the economics. Hey, you know what? I hear what you're saying. Let me ask you a question. Do you keep your options open? Are you looking to upgrade or to step up or to make a next difference? Are you committed to your family, to your career, to your life? And pause, just like I did there. Pause. Are you committed? And of course, they're going to say, well, of course I'm committed. Well, hey, look, why don't you take a look at this? I want to introduce you to some people. Now, here's the key point. I do believe as an early adopter, when you're starting out, you want to defer to your upline or to that person that has the authority, that has the experience, that has the track record, that can answer the objections. One of the big challenges when people get started out, they don't have the experience, they don't have the confidence, they're unsure, and they get exposed early on. They rush in with enthusiasm and out the skills. That's where you want to bring in your partner on a 3-way call, on a digital presentation, on a video, maybe on a one-on-one meeting, but leverage that person in your business so that you can move forward in a way that allows you to learn on the go without. When I started out, I brought people to a meeting with people who were doing the business, who were successful at the business, who had career professionals in that industry that had the skill set that I didn't. And I watched them over and over of how they handled objections, how they did presentations, how they followed up. And I learned that organically by immersing myself in my system. And it took me, a year to kind of get things going. And then by that time I was competent, I had an ability, and I could build an organization, and I did exactly what they did till I got to where I wanted to go. And it's the same thing for you. You have to look at this as a career. That's the next piece. When you're getting involved in direct sales and marketing and all that stuff, you're getting all the benefits of a new career of entrepreneurship without the traditional risk of entrepreneurship. Okay. That's one of the huge pieces that you're getting with an MLM, network marketing, direct sales business. Now, that's the other thing is you need to have a support team. You need to be connecting in to people who are doing the business, your team group, your upline, or one of the webinars each and every week with all the various people, and find the leader that you resonate with, that you like their story, you like how they communicate, that you feel that you can replicate how they are. That's important because you need to be able to learn the languaging, the lexicon, the communication style, the presentation capabilities so that you can do that. Third thing is you've got to make sure, you have to recognize there are a set of skills that allows you to be successful in this business, just like anything. If you start with a company, there's a training period, you learn the process. The more you make, usually the more complicated the skill training is required, and maybe the longer the onboarding. And so recognize that this is a career that in, a decade, let's say 10 years, can pay you the kind of money that other careers that take, decades of university education or decades of training or decades of trial and error risk in entrepreneurship, this industry can pay you as well or even better without the risk and without the leverage. Okay. And so you need to understand that. You need to be clear about that. You need to believe that. And in order to do that, you got to sing from the hymn book. You got to sing with the choir. You got to, if you go to church every week. Same thing with this. You've got to sell yourself each and every week. You've got to listen to the motivational information every single day. You got to learn a skill each day. There's 7 basic skills. Eric Worre covers them in Network Marketing Pro. You've got to learn each one of those skills and get better at it. Commit to self-improvement. Turn off Netflix. Turn off the thing and spend an allotted time every day. Tony Robbins says, show me your schedule, I'll show you your results. Show me your friends, I'll show you where your future. So the point of the matter is who are you hanging around with? What is the skill set they're willing to upgrade, learn, and to optimize? And how committed are you? And is it booked in your calendar? The same thing as breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The same thing as showing up to your 9 to 5. The same thing as showing up for your kids. You've got to book it in and make it a priority that this is what you're going to do. This is a 10-year career. This is going to leverage me out of where I'm at to where I want to go. And I am going to do whatever it takes during this time. I am going to overcome whatever challenge and whatever objection. Because I'll tell you something, the people who will build your business, that will grow your empire, you have not met yet. The people who will hold you where you are, you've known for a long time. You are the summation of your 5 best friends. And as you get involved in this business, you are going to change some of your friends in order to change your trajectory in life. That's just the facts. People might not like what I'm having to say about that, but that's the hard truth. And I need to tell you that because if you know this going in, you can recognize, you know what? I know where my future is right now. I don't like it. I'm ready to make a change and I'm ready to do the work. You got to do your job. And that means showing up each and every day, bringing up your skill set, going out there in the world and recognizing, hey, it doesn't matter if I don't quite make it on this pitch or this person doesn't get in or that sort of stuff. You got to let go of that because this is my career. I'm not, their negativity doesn't have anything to do with my business, doesn't have anything to do with this opportunity. That's their story. And my job is to find out what that story is and move on. Okay. So that's the key thing. Now, here's another thing. You need to get specific about what people's objections, about what their emotionality is. So asking questions, always ask questions, and ask questions not in a threatening way, like you're an interrogation officer, it's like just kind of a curiosity way. I do believe that practicing intonation, whether it's Roger Love's audio coaching, Jordan Belfort, these, they're masters at communication and how to ask and answer questions in a non-threatening way. I could be very direct and piercing, and that's just kind of my nature. There's a certain intensity to it. So I had to learn how to soften some of those questions and say, oh, how about that? Or what is that? Or how do I deflect? I have intense eyes. So how I look off to the edges and things like that allows me to be able to communicate in a way that's less threatening. How I position my body. Am I sitting directly from the person if it's a guy, or am I sitting offset? If I'm sitting in front of a woman, I'll be direct in front of. These are just little cues that you can learn as you get along in your business. Now, the other thing is you've got to build a compelling vision of your future. Your compelling vision of your future, you're jumping into the expansion mindset is critically important. Most people have lost that capacity. When you were a child, you were going to be an astronaut and a physicist, and you were going to be the president of the United States, and you're going to be a fireman and a PhD and a scientist. You're going to do all these things. There was all the possibility, and you played all the time, and then you got to school and you found out you couldn't do that. But it's interesting how you got to play again. You got to use your mind again. You got to use your imagination. And one of the ways to do that is by reading biographies of people who overcome challenges, ordinary people who became extraordinary by sustained effort over long periods of time. And that's a very inspirational way. You can listen to inspirational videos about expansion. You can listen to the latest research on mind and consciousness, like Joe Dispenza and these guys, or Greg Braden, and how you can tap into the universal field. And you'll start learning that the greats of just about every industry has done that, and they don't teach that in school. So you have to recognize those things, and you've got to bathe yourself in this kind of mindset and information in order to go successful. Now, let's talk about our specific opportunity that's available in Enagic. Now, keep in mind, I have a number of other businesses that I've been working for decades, and I love them and they work hard. But I can tell you what, as far as dollars in and dollars out and ease and growth, there's nothing that compares to the Enagic business. There really isn't. It's a phenomenal opportunity. First and foremost, you got a product that everybody needs. Water is the #1 hottest product in the world. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs a water machine. Everybody needs a filtration and an ionization machine. Everybody needs unlimited antioxidants. Everybody needs non-chemical disinfectants. Everybody needs to be able to wash the chemicals off their food and do that. So the benefits of the demonstration and the value of the machine is extraordinary. It far exceeds the pace. Next, the tax advantages of owning one of these machines and getting involved in a business more than offset the cost that or the initial cash outlay that you're going to have to put out. Get with an accountant and find out the incentives, the tax incentives that are available to you for owning and operating your own business. Third thing, Enagic is a global business. It's got 50 years, almost 50 or 40 some years of building a supply chain, building a distribution chain, building a finance chain. So they have everything from manufacture, distribution, sales, service, the whole 9 yards, plus training, plus education, plus marketing. All you need to do is go out and tell people about it. That's it. Tell people about it and upgrade your skills. Now, I will say this. Here is what is there are 2 factors that are going to determine your level of success. So here's Enagic. Enagic offers what I would call a high ticket item that's high value, that has extraordinary tax incentives for getting started in the business, that in fact, it costs you more money not to own the machine than it does to have it. They got points of sales and service and distribution. They have the #1 compensation program, patented compensation program. So it's a hybrid between direct sales and network marketing. It's the best of both worlds without the risk of traditional entrepreneurship. It has the sales, the services, the systems that allows you to be successful. The only thing that's holding you back is 2 things: marketing and sales. So sales is the ability to communicate and to take a person through a presentation, a sales process, handle their objections, overcome those objections, and get them to make a purchase. This is the first area that you need to take time and energy to learn. Okay? Go out and buy Jordan Belfort's Straight Line Persuasion. Study it every single day for 6 months. Practice that. You will handle sales. The second thing is marketing. And I would say go out and get Eric Worre's information of Network Marketing Pro and learn how to go out and market your product and the methodologies are that, whether that's internet marketing, whether that's belly-to-belly marketing, whether it's buying lists and calling people, whether it's networking events, or however. Marketing is the ability to get people to your presentation. Sales is the presentation and asking for the sale and overcoming objection. Marketing and sales are the two things that drive your business forward. Now, where people fail in this business is they don't learn sales and they don't learn marketing. And if you don't learn sales and you don't learn marketing, you will not be successful. I'm saying that. You need to learn sales first, marketing second. Once you learn those two things and plug yourself into this business, you will become outrageously successful. Now, why don't people learn that? Because what happens is they become dependent on maybe somebody who's not that experienced. Now, here's the thing. I know there's a bunch of you out there that are going to say, my upline isn't doing well. My upline doesn't know. I don't like my upline. I've got nobody in my area, blah, 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 blah. Fine. All that person needed to do, you need to fire your upline and fire that story that someone else is screwing your life up. There is so much information about this business. You can come on here for free. There's a lot of other top leaders out there that are giving information free. There's Eric Worre. You need to become a professional in this industry. You've got to say to yourself, I'm going to be a pro. I'm going to learn the skills. A pro learns the skills. You would never think of not upgrading your skills if you were in engineering or if you were in science or you were a medical doctor, or whatever field that you're out there that's going to make those high incomes. You got to keep up with the skill set. It's the same thing in this business. Now, sales skills can be learned within 6 months. Virtually anybody can become a great salesperson. Maybe not world class, but certainly great that you're going to be able to handle the objections of the people that you meet. Marketing, that's probably going to take you 6 to 18 months. So all total, you're looking at a total education investment of 2 years. You will produce results during those 2 years, but 2 years to really master the craft that you can name your income. Now, you could go out and sell juices or potions or pills or whatever out there, or wires or other things that are available out there. But the reality is you want to be in an industry that everybody needs. Who needs water? Everybody. Everybody needs water, okay? The other thing is pills, potions, motions, the entry is like $100 a month or whatever. But with the Enagic thing, you're getting people onto, it's like selling them a 4 or 5 year continuity program on the very first day. So you get all the benefits as if they were on for 4 or 5 years right up front. And that's a huge value. The second thing is that everybody in their family is going to have the benefits of it. So when you look at the dollar value that Enagic presents versus the dollar value of everybody else, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute slam dunk. So go out there and recognize that. Go out there and find out the information and build your story and become bulletproof and Teflon coated. Now, every time that you go out there and you get, let's say, blown up in the field by somebody that gets something, you take a note about it, you write it down, you ask those questions to myself, to ask the questions to the other uplines, to the other things, and you get the answers, and then you build in that into your story. And over the course of, say, 2 years, there is nothing you won't be able to handle. Here's where people give up. They when they fail or they don't get the sale or things go wrong, they take that on as that they're no good or they're emotional or they're not going to make it, or their friend or their uncle or their grandma or their dad or mom or something were right. This business doesn't work. The market's saturated. All the stories and rationalizations come up, but it just comes down to 2 skills: sales and marketing. Those 2 things are going to turn your business around. Enagic is literally one of the very best businesses in the game. They do that because they have a 45-year plus history. They got sales points of sales, service, and distribution all around the world. They have an outstanding guarantee. that no other ionization machine. They're in the #1 commodity in the world, water. They have an extraordinary compensation program. They have an extraordinary education program. They've got all the checks in all the boxes. It's really tough to find a better opportunity than what you have here, especially today with the internet and the world going around. It's a global opportunity that everybody can take advantage of. So here's the key. You need to embrace and get on the mindset that you can get the skills that you need to develop those skills, to move forward, to rock your life, and to grab this by the horn and build a compelling vision of something. Here's what I'm going to do in the next 10 years. But I need to compress that. I need to get my skills up in the next 6 to 12 months that allows me to make enough money. Like literally when you get to like 4A, you get 20 machines inside your business. You're rocking a really nice commission on these things. And it's life-changing commissions. So your first goal is to get the 4A in this business and move forward. And to do that, you need the 2 skills. You need sales first, marketing second, plug into your team, plug into your upline, find the person that you resonate with, get inside that program, expect the objections, learn to deflect the objections, and to get specific with the questioning process that you go forward. If you do all those things, you will become outrageously successful. You will be able to write your ticket of how much money you want to make and the kind of lifestyle that you want to have. It's all here with Enagic. It's all ready for you. But what you need to do is you need to roll up the sleeves and you need to go out and do it. So I hope you enjoyed that little webinar tonight. Take these notes from it. We'll be sending them out on the YouTube channel. So I want to thank you all for joining us. I'm Wayne Lightheart. Peace out to everybody. Love you. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up. It's the last quarter of the year. Let's make that push for Christmas and punch out those numbers and really control your destiny, control your future, and get the life that you truly deserve. Take care. Lots of love.